Story number 5. Dissecting the nonprofit business model. This story crept in because of the what I found out that's been happening. We've been seeing businesses close, and we may be in a new day and age where politicians and government may need more, not only education on business, but they may need also more education on the nonprofit sector. Now, if you do not know, some nonprofits, you have like 501c3s, and they have different sects, and sometimes these nonprofits cannot engage in political activities. So what they're finding out is that some of these when these nonprofits have to beg for money, a lot of people are trying to figure out if their money is going if they're getting the job done. So it's basically saying that a lot of corporations give nonprofits money to sometimes they do it to get money off the books, sometimes they do it for a good cause, sometimes they do it for a tax write-off. The system in itself is structured so everybody can everything can kind of help out. So like they have nonprofits for veterans, they have nonprofits for special needs. So in dissecting this market, and it's interesting on how some stories emerge. And when you talk about federal funding, that's what's amazing as well. Ohio strips Planned Parenthood from budget. They're trying to. This is set to boost pro-life. I guess they're going to try to take that money and gear it towards pro-life pregnancy center funding. So they're starting to see that some things needs to be changed around, and a lot of nonprofits are on the radar, and a lot of for-profits are on the radar by Democrats. If you watch the debate, or if you had a chance to see some of the highlights, you will hear a lot of talk about Democrats going after for-profit companies, taxing. We just seen the tax cut, which was able to give more companies a chance to actually hire some employees, but we're seeing the ripple effect is because it took away from the government's books. So the thing is who do we gear the money to, and how do we make the money last? Top clean air officials plan to step down from the EPA. I guess he's stepping down from his post amid an ethics probe. What do you do when the money runs out? That's the question. And when you talk about nonprofits, when you talk about government-funded programs, what happens when that money runs out? What happens when you get a grant from the government one year and you have all these people on staff and you can't get that same grant? You may start to see some of this talk fluctuating in some stories and some sections of journalism. The FTC to crack down on robocalls. These robocalls, they offer you something, and sometimes sometimes these robocalls can be scams. They can feed off of senior citizens, and this is how people get in financial troubles by not understanding what's happening. They say that the nonprofit system is still a good idea. The thing is should it be restructured according to, like when you talk about newspapers and colleges? Should there be federal funding if there isn't already is on some media outlets because of the freedom of the press? And we see journalism suffering, but it's very important, very pivotal to have a city newspaper. We see happening in the Valley with the Vindicator. The fact is that what will happen once that newspaper is gone and the people are less informed, they'll have to go someplace else. So that's the question: is should there be federal like a Federal Reserve system for not only newspapers but for colleges as well, because of the fact that we're like I think there's like 1.5 trillion in student loan debt. Now the question is how do you back it up if these kids cannot pay, if there's not enough jobs? You look at the journalism sector, that's a unique industry, and the fact is that the media is needed, the press is needed. If you don't have the press, then people can corruption can reign because people are less informed. So that's a homeland security problem. And that's why I say some of the stuff you see happening, this is what you call a lack of governing. That means that government needs to start, when you ask what government is useful for, this may be it, because of the fact that these businesses are becoming so big, and when they fail, they leave a big gap and a big hole. So who else is going to fill that hole when the money is not there, when you can't support it? That's why I say some sections are should be purposely used for federal dollars. That's a story number 5, dissecting the nonprofit business model and crept its way in the Mediator. You're in the Mediator with me, Brian West, which is my supreme duty every week to give you the top 8 headlines developing news stories. We got about 15 minutes left of the show, so I'm going to breeze through. If you want to contribute, all you have to do is visit www.methodinc.com, method8inc.com, where you can buy something, click on something, watch something, or just read something, or you can just sponsor the program.
If you need help, then dial your operator.
Have no fear, fellow citizens. The Mediator is here.